you a promise. They said if you dedicate your life to public service, that while we wouldn't pay you enough, we would guarantee you a solid retirement. But they broke their promise.
Okay, today with some RTD News updates. And as you can tell from today's title, we're going to be talking about a subject matter that I think is going to be very important in 2019. And it has to do with the pension system and the pension crisis that's been underway for quite some time now. And so as of this week, the state that's experiencing the most problem, which is Kentucky, will begin discussing reform on how to resolve the pension crisis in the state of Kentucky. But yet, in my opinion, there's no real way of solving an issue in a system that was based upon promises that the lawmakers at the time knew that they were not going to be able to honor. The way cash crisis works. Talking about Venezuela once again. To make important thanks. They removed the 1,000 called monetary awareness. And so today I got a couple articles I want to shine some light on, but more importantly, point you in the direction to a video that I had a chance to watch, which gives you a good idea as to what's happening in Kentucky. And even during that video, one of the lawmakers mentioned that Kentucky is definitely dealing with issues right now, but they're not going to be the only state. So before I dive any further, as always,
next recession.
Recession will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months.
A crash is coming now, whether it's 6 months from now, 12 months, 36 months, no one knows.
If you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.
So today I want to start off by directing your attention to an article that came out as of last October, but yet it's very relevant for what's going on, because since this came out, a lot has changed, especially as we wound up December with the markets being down a little bit, heading into a new year of uncertainty in the midst now of a government shutdown where there's approximately 800,000 public workers that are not being paid right now. So I believe that this pension subject matter will be very important in the days ahead, because not only are workers not being paid right now, but more importantly, their financial futures are tied into the current market situation. And based on what's happening in Kentucky, we'll get a chance to see how other states may respond. Because at the end of the day, all the pension system schemes are tied together. They're all based upon promises that political figures from decades ago made for future workers. And it's all subject to the health of our economy. And I believe that 2019 will definitely be an eye-opening experience for a lot of people as we watch more of monetary and fiscal policy collide under the current administration. So with that being the case, just want to thumb through this briefly, give you an idea what's going on, but more importantly, get to the actual video, which is called Pension Gamble. It's about an hour long, and I encourage you to take time to watch it. And in watching that video, you get a chance to see at how malinvestment, greed, and incompetence have led to billions upon billions of dollars being lost, in the fact that a part of the trustees to a lot of the boards that manage and oversee pension system funds were from people who were not qualified or operating in their own interest. So that being the case, here's an article here. It starts off by referring to a video that came out in 2013 called The Retirement Gamble. And it talks about all the retirement vehicles like 401k, pensions, and all the other investment instruments that have been proposed as safe havens, of which once watching that video, you realize they're not really safe havens. And scroll down a little bit more, it talks about the current situation and what's happening in Kentucky. And it says with a shortfall of an estimated $36 billion, says its pension fund managers rolled the dice with hedge fund money managers who allegedly charge inexorbitant fees and whose investment performance disappointed. Here's the actual video here. It's about 54 minutes long, but yet it's very informative as to the state of the public pension system in the state of Kentucky. And no matter what state you're in, you fall under the same type of category of people that oversee your funds and your expectations for a secure financial future. But as thousands of people in Kentucky are experiencing right now, the uncertainty of that secure future that they were told they're going to have right now is on the line. And I believe that in the days ahead this year, they're going to really experience more discomfort, because it's all subject to the equities market as well as bonds. And we all know where that's heading. Next article here is just from WKYT. It says top House Republicans say lawmakers won't rush a pension reform bill. So this article is as of today. And so I wanted to highlight this one because as of now, this afternoon, the House and Senate gavel, of which elected officials in Kentucky will begin trying to come up with some type of reform to fix something that is completely broken and beyond repairable, in the idea that they've made more promises to the current workers as well as those that are expecting to retire in the future than the funds they need in the bank to do so. So this article just shines a little light as to what some of the topics are going to be. And of course, in order to create revenue, they're going to be again, looking at legalizing marijuana as a revenue stream there, but yet that won't be enough to raise enough funds to meet the demand and the promises that were given out to millions of people. And then the next article here is from Zero Hedge, and it says how the Federal Reserve quietly bankrupted the U.S. pension system. And it refers to an article that I'm going to point at in a minute. But basically here it just shows you the actual trajectory of the nature of how pensions are underfunded. And so the promises continue to increase, but yet there's no funds set aside because of states and cities not able to actually budget funds to meet demand down the line because of expenditures for today's needs and all the other things that come with running a city or state budget. And so here, give you an idea, it says, in the ensuing weeks and months, the full and lugubrious legacy of the Fed's great monetary experiment of the last decade will finally come into view. It says, beyond inflating and bursting a bubble in corporate debt, the Fed's decade-long financial repression has had a far larger and more sinister impact. It has silently bankrupted the U.S. pension system. And so it talks about total private and public pensions, how unfunded liabilities have skyrocketed. And scroll down a little bit more, it gives you more details, but it talks about how whenever there's a market correction, i.e. a recession, there's always a loss of capital in regards to these funds here. And so it points out that the dot-com bust sent the cumulative deficit from negative 1.2 trillion to 3.1 trillion around the 2000 time frame. And then the great financial crisis saw it swell from negative 2.9 trillion up to 5.3 trillion as far as being underfunded. And it says split this difference at a doubling of the deficit and we'd be looking at a hole of around 12 trillion before you can blink. So just the idea of factoring in our federal government budget or lack thereof, we're looking at a possible $12 trillion liability of unfunded pensions in the days ahead. Scroll down a little bit more, it talks about the nature of corporate bonds, how because of the lack of profitability for a lot of hedge funds and money managers, a lot of funds have taken on more corporate debt in the form of bonds, of which over the last couple years, they've increased their allocation to approximately 14% of total holdings, which is basically saying you're holding on to debt of corporations that are right now or soon to be struggling as far as revenue is concerned, especially with the decrease in value of their stock, spells trouble in the days ahead. So if you're interested, feel free to read more for yourself on that one. And then what's even more important, a study was released today basically comparing the difference and the importance of having a pension over the new 401k style plan that's been introduced into public workers instead of government-backed pensions. And so if you're interested, feel free to read more for yourself. But at the end of the day, it surveyed 6 states to get a feel for what people want as well as what's most suitable to meet financial needs down the line with the idea of having financial security. And so states that were involved was Colorado, Connecticut, Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri, and Texas. And so I'll give you some highlights from that. Some of the things they found was that most classroom teaching is performed by long career teachers who are well positioned to benefit from a traditional pension. So basically, it would be easier to keep teachers in the classroom if they had some type of reassurance or guarantee that they'll be able to receive an actual defined benefit plan down the line, as opposed to having to contribute themselves to a 401k of that nature. And the next one here says, for 8 out of 10 teachers in the 6 states analyzed, pensions provide higher, more secure retirement income compared to a 401k style plan. Well, that's kind of obvious because the burden of a pension relies solely upon the state or the city. And in a 401k style plan, it's more so on the employee themselves to have to set aside their own funds for their own future. And so it's no brainer that a pension would work better. So once again, this article here sways automatically towards a pension, given the fact that the responsibility is upon the state or the city or whatnot to meet those demands, or the federal government. But yet, as we just saw here, the Federal Reserve quietly bankrupt the U.S. pension system. There's no such thing as security anymore. So basically today I just wanted to point out a situation that I believe will get more mainstream news coverage pretty soon surrounding all this government shutdown, as well as what's happening in our political realm, as well as in the markets itself. But yet the retirement system this year will be tested majorly. Not only will it be tested in regards to the whole equities market, because all pension funds are heavily tied to either stocks or bonds, and we're all witnessing the true valuation of those assets in the days ahead, closely tied to what the Federal Reserve does as far as raising interest rates or not. But more importantly, the goal is to realize the importance of being able to take responsibility for your own financial future and not rely upon elected officials or some paid salesman to sell you products that offer you so-called security for your financial future without taking more of an interest for your own financial security down the line. So other than that, We'd love to hear your thoughts on this matter. Do you think this is going to be a major subject this year, or do we have another couple years before it really becomes a full-blown retirement crisis where all the states are impacted by it? Love to hear your thoughts on this matter. Feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll see you later.